The Goblin Rebellion. The Goblin Rebellion was centuries of wizards learning that if you treat goblins like second-class citizens, the people guarding your money may eventually replace customer service with axes. By the late 1800s, the seething conflict between wizards and goblins exploded. With mining drills, heavy armor, and generations of built-up hatred, Ranrock, a goblin rebel leader who hated wizardkind, led loyalists in rebellion and searched for ancient magic hidden under Hogwarts. He was not asking politely for reform. He wanted goblins on top and wizards crushed underneath. Victor Rookwood was the human disaster beside him, a dark wizard crime boss leading the Ashwinders. Their alliance was not friendship. It was two villains shaking hands, while both checked where to stab first. While Ranrock's loyalists launched raids and built underground operations, Rookwood's gang supplied the rebellion with smuggling, brutality, and dark magic. The strangest part was how literal the war became. Massive drills, hidden mines, and ancient magical reservoirs existed directly beneath Hogwarts itself. The school was not simply near the conflict. The conflict was under its foundations, wearing metal armor. The rebellion did not appear out of nowhere. Goblins had spent centuries denied political power, social respect, and wand rights, even while wizards trusted them with banks, weapons, and enormous fortunes. The message was basically, we trust you with all our gold, just not with rights. In the end, Ranrock's rebellion failed. Ranrock himself was defeated. The ancient magic beneath Hogwarts remained sealed, and the alliance with Rookwood collapsed. But the deeper problem never truly disappeared. The wizarding world won the war, without ever fixing the reasons it started in the first place. The war for the greater good. Grindelwald's war began when one of the most dangerous wizards alive discovered that world domination sounds much better with a nice slogan. For the greater good sounds inspiring, until you realize the person saying it is building a prison and collecting followers who clap whenever freedom gets smaller. Gellert Grindelwald believed witches and wizards should stop hiding from non-magical people and rule over them openly. He sold this as progress. In his version, magical people would guide the world, prevent future suffering, and create a new order. The problem was that his new order required fear, conquest, secrecy, manipulation, and people being dead. Grindelwald became one of the most powerful dark wizards of the 20th century. He gathered supporters across Europe, searched for powerful magical objects, and gained the Elder Wand. His movement was not just a gang, it was an ideology. That made it terrifying in a different way. Voldemort usually made people afraid, but Grindelwald made people feel chosen. Fear can force someone to obey. A beautiful lie can make them volunteer. Grindelwald understood this kind of branding. He took wizard supremacy and dressed it up as mercy. He made domination sound like protection. He gave ambitious people a reason to feel noble while doing terrible things. The weird detail is that Albus Dumbledore once shared Grindelwald's dreams. They were brilliant, intense, and convinced they could reshape the world. Dumbledore eventually pulled back. Grindelwald did not. He kept walking straight into destruction. As teenagers, Dumbledore and Grindelwald made a blood pact, sealing a promise that they would never fight each other. That meant Dumbledore was not simply avoiding the problem, he was magically blocked from facing Grindelwald. But the pact did not last forever. Years later, when Grindelwald tried to kill Credence, Dumbledore's nephew Dumbledore and his brother Aberforth moved to protect him. Their spells clashed with Grindelwald's, and because Dumbledore was not attacking Grindelwald directly, the pact was finally broken. The magical vial containing their blood shattered. So by 1945, there was no blood pact left to hide behind. Their conflict finally ended when Dumbledore defeated Grindelwald in a legendary duel. Imagine losing a global war because your old teenage friend finally showed up and said, "The greater good is you sitting down." Basically, the War of the Greater Good was what happens when two genius boys read too much philosophy, and one never finds a hobby. Voldemort's first rise. Tom Riddle started as an already cruel orphan and became a man who hated being ordinary so much that he rearranged his name into something that sounds like thunder joining a cult. Voldemort's rise became the First Wizarding War, building through the 1970s and ending on Halloween night in 1981. He created the Death Eaters, a terrorist group of pure-blood extremists, dark magic fanatics, wealthy cowards, and people who saw skull masks and thought, finally, a professional uniform. Voldemort wanted immortality, power, and control over the wizarding world. He believed pureblood families should dominate, Muggle-borns should be pushed out or destroyed, and anyone who resisted deserved death. His followers murdered, tortured, spied, threatened, and used the Imperius Curse. The Ministry struggled to respond. The Order of the Phoenix formed to fight back. Families were torn apart. Friends became suspects. Trust became dangerous. The real terror was not only Voldemort himself, it was the atmosphere around him. Nobody knew who had joined him. Nobody knew who was being controlled. Your neighbor might be normal, your coworker might be a Death Eater, and your cousin might be one awkward dinner away from reporting you to a man who treats snake possession like a lifestyle brand. That is what made the First Wizarding War feel so suffocating. Voldemort did not just attack people, he infected society with suspicion. He turned silence into survival. Even saying his name became rare, because nothing feeds a villain like an entire country whispering around his brand. The weird detail is that his first defeat came from something he never understood: love. Voldemort went to kill baby Harry Potter because of a prophecy. Lily Potter sacrificed herself to save her son, and that protection caused the killing curse to rebound. Voldemort lost his body. Harry survived. A baby became famous overnight for winning a fight he could not remember. Tom Riddle spent years building Horcruxes, gathering terrorists, terrifying a nation, and trying to conquer death, only to get folded by someone whose main skill was probably pooping his pants. The First Wizarding War ended because the darkest wizard alive attacked a nursery and lost to protective magic, bad planning, and a child with zero career goals. Voldemort's Return. Voldemort's Return was the sequel nobody wanted, featuring the same villain, worse skin, and a government determined to lose a fight against the obvious evidence. After his first defeat, Voldemort did not properly die. He survived as a weak, bodiless spirit because pieces of his soul were hidden inside Horcruxes. He possessed animals and people, hid in forests, and clawed his way back through terrible decisions. First came Quirrell and the Diary, then Peter Pettigrew, then Barty Crouch Jr. By 1995, Voldemort returned to a body in the graveyard at Little Hangleton, using a ritual with his father's bone, his servant's flesh, and his enemy's blood. That was not a simple resurrection. That was a ritual so illegal even Nocturne Alley would ask questions. Voldemort came to power immediately, but the Ministry refused to admit it. For almost a year, officials denied Voldemort was back and attacked Harry and Dumbledore instead. While they argued with the truth, Voldemort rebuilt his followers. The Death Eaters returned. The Order of the Phoenix came back. Hogwarts became a political battlefield. Dolores Umbridge turned education into pink-colored tyranny. After Dumbledore died in 1997, everything collapsed fast. The Ministry fell. Voldemort's supporters took control from the inside. Muggleborns were hunted through fake legal processes. Propaganda became normal. Hogwarts became dangerous. The Resistance went underground. Harry, Ron, and Hermione left school to hunt Horcruxes, which meant the fate of the world depended on 3 teenagers. Well, this time the danger was even worse because Voldemort attacked the system from inside. He did not just want fear in the streets. Laws, courts, newspapers, schools, and the Ministry itself became weapons. Terror through laws is still terror. It just wears a nicer stamp. The weird detail is that Voldemort created the exact chain of mistakes that destroyed him. He used Harry's blood, which helped keep Harry alive. He split his soul until it became unstable. He trusted the Elder Wand without understanding wand loyalty. He kept thinking power meant ownership, and magic kept replying, access denied. At the Battle of Hogwarts in 1998, his own killing curse rebounded again. Same spell, same arrogance, larger audience. 4 wizarding wars, 4 different disasters, 1 repeated lesson. The wizarding world keeps ignoring injustice until it grows teeth, finds a wand, and starts giving speeches.